Today's video, we're going to be looking at the new Kotobukiya ArtFX DC Supergirl's 1/10 scale pre-painted figure. Before we have a look at the figure and the stand, let's first figure out how tall Supergirl stands. And she's roughly about 6 3/4. She's just shy of being a 7-inch tall statue. Like with other Kotobukiya ArtFX statues, Supergirl comes with the square metal base that we've seen before, although adorned very nicely here in a transitioned color of the blue to dark blue and the Supergirl emblem at the top with the Supergirl font underneath that. And like with other statue bases that we've seen from Kotobukiya, she does also have the felt underneath on the underside of the statue. So if you are putting it on any surfaces, you don't have to worry that the statue's base is going to do any scratching. Having a look at the figure itself, you can see that she does sport 2 magnets on the undersides of her feet, which means she's very easy to attach to her display base. Rather easy, in fact, in the sense that you can also display her any which way that you want. A lot of companies will go the route of pegs and peg holes, which is fine, but it does limit exactly where you have to put the statue. Like, it will say you have to put the statue, like, dead center, for example. Kotobukiya, and one thing I've always liked about the company, is by putting magnets on many of their statues, it means you can put the statue any which way that you want. If you had, say, Supergirl and a Flash, you could put them even on the same shared base if you wanted to. So I do really like that quite a bit. Having a look at the statue, otherwise I quite like it. I do think that the head sculpt, though, doesn't quite look like Melissa Benoist, who plays Supergirl. In fact, actually, looking at it, and the few countless times that I've looked at the statue's head sculpt, it kind of reminds me closer to, like, Kirsten Dunst, if anything. It's not to say that the head sculpt isn't bad. In fact, I think it's a really pretty head sculpt. I just don't think it looks too much like Melissa Benoist. Now, it's not to say, again, like if you look really closely, it's got some really soft applied details here. A very soft applied paint as well. The eyes are absolutely gorgeous. I love the reflection that the eyes have. It's a very soft pigmentation that they've done to the skin tone. So it really gives her that nice soft pastel look to her skin. I do, again, really quite like that. Spin around the figure, and you can see the hair sculpt is quite nicely sculpted, but then the paint is exquisitely applied on top of that, where you've got varying shades of different blonde that's been added here. Not quite, it's quite a bit of a dirty blonde, I suppose, but then on the top you've got a bit of an airbrushing here of an orange pigmentation, and you got slightly darker undertones in there as well that just kind of add depth to the otherwise, singular painted hair here. As we move from the statue's head down, we are treated to a really nice sculpt on both the upper torso and the lower skirt area of Supergirl. Now, it's not necessarily a gripe towards Kotobukiya, but one thing that drives me bananas about this Supergirl show is the fact that she wears like nylon. She wears like a pantyhose material that darkens the skin area, the leg area of her outfit. I don't personally like that, but to the testament of Kotobukiya, they recreated that rather nicely here on her legs. You've got the darker tones here of the boots, which are quite a dark contrast to the lighter shade of the skirt. And actually close-up looks at the skirt, you can see some nice texturing that's been done both on the upper torso and the lower skirt. Some nice gold also added in there into the belt area, or I guess the equivalent of where Supergirl's belt would reside. Hoping the camera will do the outfit here justice. You can see if you look very closely, very small woven. It's almost like a fabric chainmail, similar to what we would see with the Man of Steel Henry Cavill's Superman costume, but much more subtle here on Supergirl's. Again, I really love the panel outlining here. The super emblem, the yellow at the very least around the actual red of the emblem does look like it's a little on the broader side. It might have just trimmed that a little bit thinner. Other than that, again, I really like the overall sculpt here. Even again, if the face isn't quite accurate to Supergirl, it's an otherwise quite pretty looking statue. Now, one of the benefits of this particular statue as well is it has interchangeable arms. You can change this configuration out to 2 other configurations, and even from that, you can kind of mix and match them as well. So how these come apart, it's literally just a case of pulling out the arms. And you can see that they have, if I pull out both sides here, you can see that they have distinct shapes to them. So that tells you right off the bat which arm goes into which socket. You can't simply just take this arm, for example, and accidentally put it in the wrong place. So it's good that they've gone ahead and done that. You can go then ahead and swap it out to the straight arm configuration and simply just revisit these sockets with the new arms that you want to use and just pop those into place. Here we have a very stoic looking Supergirl with arms straight out to the sides of her torso, and I really, again, quite like that. Now, what I was talking about mixing and matching, say for example you want to take one of the arms that we've already looked at, let's say this one right here, and attach it back into the socket, you can now have a straight arm and a bent arm, which gives you some, posability options. You can really, again, design this exactly the way that you want. One of my personal favorites, though, if we go ahead and take both arms out, she does have the crossed arm configuration. And now this one, it's easiest if you take this arm, the arm on this side, so this would be your left side looking at the screen. It's easiest if you put this arm into the socket first. So again, you know which shape goes into which socket, and just fit that into place. You almost feel like as if you almost have to put it on an angle to get these arms into place. Then take the other arm, and you're going to fit it into the socket. Don't worry about lining everything up just yet. Get it into the socket area. Again, you have to kind of put it in on a slight angle. This one's a little harder, I find, to get into place. And pop that into place. And then once that's together, you can kind of push the arm down slightly. And there's a little connector point, if I can show you there. They've sculpted in fake fingers. So the finger, or at least the tab portion, is going to tab into the arm that you've just attached here. And underneath that, you get this slight indication of 4 fingers, which is a really nice looking touch. Of the 4, I say 4 configurations because, again, you can really mix and match the other 2 arms to really get 3 different looks. But this is my favorite of all those looks. I really do like the crossed arm. I can't think of any other company that's also done this as well, so it's really clever that Kotobukiya could find the means to swap arms out like this. I would really love to see them do this with future releases. I mean, any really superhero character could have many different arm poses like this, and they clearly know exactly how to accomplish that when it comes to statues. Though I will admit that Supergirl here doesn't quite capture the likeness of actress Melissa Benoist, who plays her in the TV series, I think this is a nice outing from Kotobukiya. She's got a beautiful sculpt, a face sculpt, of course, as well, and she's got a really strong presence to her. I love the coloring. Again, paint application is never an issue when it comes to Kotobukiya releases, and I really like, one thing that I especially like is the interchangeable arm options, which is something I haven't seen other companies approach. The idea that you can really customize Supergirl here exactly to the way that you want to have her standing. There's 4 different possibilities. There's technically 3 different arm configurations, but as you saw, you really could cross one of the arms and have it bent against the waist while the other arm is draping to the side. So there's really about 4 different configurations that you can do here with Supergirl, and I really do like the fact that they would have done that. It hopefully, knock on wood, is something that they're going to do with future releases, because I would really love to see what they could do with the whole idea of swapping arms. Really clever idea from Kotobukiya. If you guys are interested in picking this one up for yourself, she should be available now in comic book stores. Say, for example, you are going to a comic book store that's in your area and they don't happen to have this one. Fear not, most of the time comic book stores are more than happy to order them in for you. After all, they want to have your business, so they'd be more than happy to order this one in. And I would say, for Supergirl fans, you may want to add this one to your collection. Today we were having a look at the Kotobukiya ArtFX 1/10 pre-painted statue of Supergirl. You guys want to check out some more Kotobukiya reviews, I've got a playlist on this channel that you can go to called, you guessed it, Kotobukiya. It'll have everything I've ever reviewed for the company, and if you want to go back and have a look at those, I always like reading new comments in older videos. Also, if you haven't had a chance to hit that little subscribe button just below this video, make sure you do so. Many more videos will be coming your way. As always, guys, thanks for watching as you always do. I'll see you next time.